The box wasn't meant to be opened. It wasn't meant to be found. But once it was, America would never stop asking what happened to the boy inside. The woods in Fox Chase were quiet that February morning in 1957, the kind of quiet that makes every snapped branch sound like a warning. A cold wind slid through bare trees, carrying a sour, unmistakable scent. Death had been there longer than anyone knew. The boy who found the box wasn't supposed to be there. He was skipping school, wandering through brush on the outskirts of Philadelphia, half looking for rabbits, half looking for trouble. When he saw the cardboard box, half buried near the base of a tree, it didn't seem important at first, just trash. Just another thing someone had thrown away. Faded lettering ran along the flap. Fragile, handle with care. The box had once held a baby's bassinet, something meant to cradle life. The irony meant nothing to the boy as he stepped closer, curiosity tightening in his chest. The box had been forced open. Something pale protruded from inside, something limp and wrong. At first, it looked like a doll's arm. Then he saw the fingers, the skin, the weight of it. Inside lay a little boy, naked and lifeless. 4 years old, maybe 5. His eyes were closed. His lips were parted slightly, as if he'd been caught between breaths. Bruises spread across his body like dark flowers in bloom. Someone had folded his arms across his stomach. Someone had wrapped a blanket around him. Someone had beaten him, likely more than once, and then placed him carefully inside a cardboard box and left him in the woods like discarded furniture. The boy who found him ran. He told no one. He carried the image home and buried it in silence, where it would rot inside him for years. Days later, another man came upon the same box. A college student checking muskrat traps. He stood frozen, staring down at the child, wrestling with disbelief and fear. Guilt followed him home. 2 days later, he called the police. By the time officers arrived, the scene was already compromised. Boots pressed into frozen ground. Snow drifted across disturbed leaves. But the boy was still there, still waiting. Detective Thomas Augustine was among the first responders. He had seen death before, plenty of it. But this was different. This wasn't violence in the heat of passion or the aftermath of desperation. This was quiet, intentional. The child's face stayed with him in a way no adult victim ever had. The autopsy revealed details that deepened the horror. Blunt force trauma to the head, no defensive wounds, no clear cause beyond sustained violence. His hands and feet were wrinkled, suggesting submersion in water before death. Someone had held him there. Someone had watched the bubbles stop. There were surgical scars too. A healed incision on his ankle. Another near his groin. Signs that someone once cared enough to take him to a doctor. Enough care to fix him. Not enough to save him. The city searched for his name. Hospitals, orphanages, foster homes. Missing person reports from across the country. Flyers were printed and stuffed into envelopes sent to every household in Philadelphia. His image, cleaned and posed, stared back from newspapers. No one came forward. Psychics called. Grieving parents insisted the boy was theirs. Tips flooded in and collapsed just as quickly. Each lead ended in disappointment. The boy had no past, no record, no one grieving him publicly. He became America's unknown child. Then, more quietly, the boy in the box. Augustine obsessed. He kept the boy's photo on his desk. He followed every tip himself. When someone claimed the boy came from a foster home, Augustine searched abandoned buildings in the dead of night. He found nothing, only cold rooms and unanswered questions. As years passed, the case cooled, but it never closed. The boy was buried in Potter's Field beneath a marker that read, "Heavenly Father, bless this unknown boy." The city moved on. Augustine did not. Decades later, a new story surfaced. A woman using the name Martha told a psychiatrist a chilling confession. She claimed her foster mother had purchased the boy years earlier and abused him repeatedly. She said he was killed after vomiting his dinner. She described a bath, a rushed haircut, a box in the woods. The details aligned too closely. Investigators listened carefully, but Martha suffered from severe mental illness. There were no names, no proof, no corroboration. The truth hovered just out of reach. In 1998, the boy's body was exhumed. DNA was extracted and preserved. The grave was moved to Ivy Hill Cemetery. Toys and flowers began to appear. After 40 years, people still cared. Then, in 2022, science did what memory could not. Genetic genealogy traced distant relatives backward through time. Slowly, painfully, a family tree took shape. Joseph Augustus Zarelli, born January 13, 1953, 4 years old when he died. For 65 years, he had existed only as a photograph. Now he had a name, but the name solved only one mystery. His parents never reported him missing. His family remained largely silent. No charges were filed. No arrests made. The truth stayed locked behind decades of denial. Detective Augustine never lived to hear Joseph's name spoken. He died believing the boy would remain unknown forever. Those who knew him say he would have stood in those woods one last time and whispered, "I see you now." But seeing isn't justice. Joseph has a name. He still doesn't have answers. And some ghosts refuse to leave. For the full True 10 story and more cases like this, follow our channel and watch the complete video.